to be here with all of you again. I'm really thankful to Madam Dr. Deepti and Dr. Jyoti Agarwal for giving me this opportunity. I'll be talking on role of labetalol in treatment of hypertension. Hypertension in pregnancy is the most common medical complication of pregnancy. Worldwide, it contributes greatly to maternal morbidity and mortality. Women who develop hypertension during pregnancy have greater chance to develop severe disease later in life. Management still remains a challenge. Physiological changes which occur during pregnancy are significant. There are significant changes in cardiovascular and renal function which occur to meet metabolic needs of mother and the fetus. Physiological changes during pregnancy, the factors which increase during pregnancy are maternal cardiac output, maternal blood volume, renal plasma flow, glomerular filtration rate, and renin concentration or renin activity. All these they increase by 30 to 50%. Factors which decrease during pregnancy are total peripheral resistance and decrease in the blood pressure. Changes in early pregnancy which are important are invasion of the extravillous trophoblast, which results in remodeling of the maternal spiral arteries, which causes displacement of the smooth muscle and endothelial cells to produce a blood vessel with a larger diameter to increase blood flow and decrease resistance. This is a vital step for higher blood requirement of the fetus later in pregnancy. These are the changes, normal changes which occur in pregnancy, causing loss of spirality of the vessels, which in turn causes the increase in the blood flow to the fetus. A lack of spiral artery modification results in complications of pregnancy such as preeclampsia and intrauterine growth retardation. Pathology involved in such a procedure is decreased uterine placental blood flow results in placental ischemia, which causes release of placental factors like endothelial activation and dysfunction, which causes decrease in nitroxide, decrease in prostacyclin, increase in angiotensin II, endothelin, and thromboxane. All these changes they result in increase in the peripheral resistance as well as renal pressure natriuresis, in turn resulting in hypertension. Physiological changes in the blood vessels which cause dilatation, factors which cause dilatation are nitroxide and prostacyclin, and factors which cause vasoconstriction are endothelin, thromboxane, and angiotensin II. In normal pregnancy, vasodilator factors increase and vasoconstrictor factors decrease to increase the blood flow to the fetus. Diagnosis of hypertension, it is recommended that a diagnosis of hypertension requires at least 2 determinations of 4 hours apart, although on occasion, especially when faced with severe hypertension, the diagnosis can be confirmed within a short interval, even minutes, to facilitate timely antihypertensive therapy. As per National High Blood Pressure Education Program, normal or acceptable blood pressure is, systolic blood pressure is when less than equal to 140 or diastolic blood pressure is less than equal to 90. In mild hypertension, the systolic blood pressure ranges between 140 to 150 and the diastolic pressure is between 90 to 109 mm of mercury. Severe hypertension is classified when the systolic blood pressure is more than equal to 160 or the diastolic blood pressure is more than equal to 110 mm of mercury. BP is not always a dependable indicator of severity. If, however, these associated factors are there, we label it as a severe hypertension, like presence of headache, visual disturbances, eclampsia, upper abdominal pain, pulmonary edema, proteinuria, oliguria, serum creatinine, thrombocytopenia, hyperbilirubinemia, liver enzyme elevation, fetal growth retardation. All these factors, if they are present, they indicate presence of severe hypertension. Medical care is required. If a good medical care is given, it prevents progression to severe hypertension and maternal complications such as heart failure and cerebrovascular events. It also improves fetal maturity by permitting prolongation of pregnancy. Why we require injectable antihypertensives? Injectable hypertensives, there is assured reliable control of blood pressure and there is effective control of blood pressure with injectable antihypertensives. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists Committee opinion says any pregnant woman or woman in the postpartum period with acute onset of severe systolic hypertension, severe diastolic hypertension, or both require urgent antihypertensive therapy. First-line therapies for severe hypertension are intravenous labetalol, intravenous hydralazine, oral nifedipine, Magnesium sulfate is not recommended as antihypertensive agent. However, it should be used for seizure prophylaxis and controlling seizures in eclampsia. Anticonvulsants are required when there are recurrent seizures or when magnesium sulfate is contraindicated. Doses of the most commonly used agents for treatment of blood pressures between 149 to 159 systolic or 90 to 105 mm mercury diastolic. The agents used are methyl-dopa in the dosages of 250 to 500 mg per oral, BID to QID dosages, maximum is 2 grams per day. Labetalol in the doses of 100 to 400 mg per oral, BID or TID, maximum doses 1200 mg per day. Nifedipine, usually sustained release tablets are used in the dosages of 20 to 60 mg per oral daily, maximum doses 120 mg per day. The most commonly used agents for the treatment of blood pressures more than equal to 160 by 110 mm of mercury are labetalol. We start with the IV dosages. In the 20 mg is the starting dose. We can repeat between 20 to 80 mg IV depending on the control of BP over a period of 30 minutes. Or infusions can be given 1 to 2 mg per minute. Maximum dose given is 300 mg. Onset of action is within 5 minutes. Peak is seen at 30 minutes. Duration lasts for 4 hours. But when we are using IV labetalol, care should be taken to avoid its use in women with asthma or heart failure. Also, neonatologists should be informed if the woman is in labor, as parenteral labetalol may cause neonatal bradycardia. Nifedipine can also be used to control severe hypertension in the dosages 5 to 10 mg capsules to be swallowed or bitten and then swallowed every 30 minutes. Onset of action is 5 to 10 minutes, peak occurs at 30 minutes, and duration is 6 hours. Precaution taken is that staff should be aware of the distinction between short-acting nifedipine capsules, which are used to treat severe hypertension, and both the intermediate-acting per oral tablets, which can be used for treatment of non-severe or severe hypertension, and the slow-release tablets that are used for non-severe hypertension. Adrenaline can also be used. The starting dose is 5 mg IV, which can be repeated 5 to 10 mg IV every 30 minutes or 0.5 to 10 mg per hour as the IV infusion to a maximum of 20 mg IV. Onset of action is within 5 minutes. Peak occurs at 30 minutes, but the disadvantage is that it may increase the risk of maternal hypotension. Labetalol is a salicylamide derivative. It is an antihypertensive drug which can be used orally as well as intravenously. It has combined both selective, competitive alpha-1 adrenergic blocking and non-selective, competitive beta-adrenergic blocking activity. Elimination half-life is 5.5 hours. It is mainly metabolized in the liver. Excretion is chiefly in the urine and via bile into the feces. Protein binding is 50%. Labetalol, when given, due to its selective alpha-1 receptor blockade, it causes vasodilatation, which results in decrease in the peripheral resistance and hence causing decrease in the blood pressure. And through its non-selective beta receptor blockade, it protects heart from reflex sympathetic drive. That also results in decrease in the blood pressure. Control of blood pressure in severe hypertension. The agents used can be given either as IV infusion or as IV bolus. So when we use labetalol for IV infusion, we begin the treatment at 20 mg per hour of infusion. Once the treatment is begun, observe for 30 minutes. If BP is controlled in 30 minutes, continue with the same dosage of 20 mg per hour. If BP is not controlled, then increase the dosage to 40 mg per hour and observe for another 30 minutes. If BP is controlled, continue with the same dose, 40 mg per hour. If BP is not controlled, then increase the dose to 80 mg per hour and observe for 30 minutes. If BP is controlled, then continue with the 80 mg per hour dose. If BP is still not controlled, then either increase the dose to 160 mg per hour or add another antihypertensive agent, because the maximum dose permitted is 160 mg per hour. So for making the infusions, we can use either Ringer lactate solution, 5% dextrose, or normal sodium chloride solution. Dosage must be individualized. For preparing infusion, we take 40 ml of labetalol, that is 10 ampoules. Each ampoule contains 4 ml of the solution, which has 20 milligrams of labetalol in 160 ml of IV fluid. So total it will become 200 milligrams of labetalol in 200 ml of IV fluid. So the resultant solution is 1 milligram per ml. So starting dose when we have to give as 20 milligram per hour, that is 20 ml per hour, means 20 ml in 60 minutes, that is 1 ml in 3 minutes. That makes it 16 drops per minute or 5 to 6 drops per minute. So if we have to give 20 milligrams per hour, then 5 to 6 drops of this solution per minute are sufficient. If 40 milligrams per hour is needed, then 10 to 11 drops per minute. If 80 milligrams is required, 21 to 22 drops are sufficient. And if 160 milligram per hour is required, then 42 to 43 drops are required. If it is difficult to measure 160 ml of IV fluid, then easier would be to dissolve 40 ml of labetalol in 250 ml of IV fluid. That makes it 290 ml of IV fluid. So accordingly, we can adjust the dose to 8 drops per minute, which will make it 20 milligrams per hour. If you have to make it 40 milligrams per hour, then 16 drops, 80 milligram, 32 drops, or 160 milligram, 64 drops. Bolus labetalol injection, initially Leberbet injection, 20 milligram dose corresponds to 0.25 milligram per kg for an 80 kg patient by slow intravenous injection over a 2-minute period. Measure supine blood pressure to evaluate response immediately before the injection and at 5 to 10 minutes after injection. Additional injections of 40 or 80 milligrams at 10-minute intervals until a desired supine blood pressure is achieved, or up to a total of 300 milligrams of labetalol has been injected. Maximum effect usually occurs within 5 minutes of each injection. How to shift from IV to oral labetalol? Once patient is controlled on X amount of IV labetalol, oral labetalol can be started with 100 milligram BID with tapering IV dose. Dose of oral labetalol should be titrated again. These are the some studies which have been done to know the effect of labetalol on fetal-placental circulation. All these studies, they show there is no deleterious effect on uterine artery flow velocity despite control of maternal blood pressure in more than 85% of the cases, thereby maintaining normal fetal-placental perfusion and fetal oxygenation. Also, these studies, they suggest that there is no apparent disadvantage for the fetus during its use. So the labetalol use is suitable in pregnancies where fetal-placental blood flow is already compromised before antihypertensive treatment, although it may not improve the fetal-placental circulation, but safe prolongation of pregnancy can be achieved without further deterioration of fetal hemodynamics, allowing enhanced fetal maturation before delivery. These are few studies which show effect of maternal labetalol on newborn infant. So, 2 groups were taken. In group 1, 11 infants born to women with PIH were studied. Women who received oral labetalol 100 to 300 milligram TDS for at least 7 days before delivery. The second group included 11 infants born to untreated normotensive women. The result, there was no difference between the 2 groups in heart rate or respiratory rate at any time during 72 hours after delivery. So we conclude that labetalol is a relatively safe drug and has no special observations or precautions are necessary in term infants whose mothers have received it before delivery. Contraindications are bronchial asthma, overt cardiac failure, greater than 1st degree heart block, cardiogenic shock, severe bradycardia, history of hypersensitivity to any component of product, history of obstructive airway disease. Adverse effects are symptomatic postural hypotension. If patients are tilted or allowed to assume upright position within 3 hours of receiving labetalol hydrochloride injection, then symptomatic postural hypotension may be there. Increased sweating and flushing, dizziness, tingling, nausea, vomiting. Limitations of nifedipine are tachycardia and palpitations, peripheral edema, headache and facial flushing. Concern of neuromuscular blockade, myocardial depression or circulatory prolapse when used along with magnesium sulfate. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists Committee opinion suggests for acute onset severe hypertension during pregnancy, the first line drug is labetalol. Similarly, American College of Emergency Physicians also suggests labetalol to be used as first line therapy for the treatment of severe hypertension. And likewise, Canadian Hypertension Society also recommends labetalol to be used as first line treatment. Thank you.
That was an excellent